now recording.
For the record, can you please state your name, your job, and your social security number, please?
I'm Vito Gesualdi, and I'm a killer for hire.
Social security, please.
Well, I can give you my agent ID.
Your agent ID.
They call me the cat fucker. And, that's what I'm. Because every time
fucker, I thought it was
victims,
masturbator. We're moving up in the world.
Every time I kill one of my victims, I leave a masturbated cat behind. My MO.
Well, hello everyone. This is Matt from Now Recording. That's Mickey Mitch.
Hello.
That's Core.
Hi.
And that's Beavers.
Hello.
And with us today, is Vito Gesualdi. How's it going, man?
Yeah. It's all right. It's good. Hey, I'm sorry I'm late. Just woke up because my life's a mess.
Yeah. The last podcast, we just recorded a podcast. We talked a little shit because it was just a podcast of us waiting for you to come on.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think you have the right to talk shit if I missed your podcast. I didn't expect to sleep 10 hours. I have no fucking idea what happened. So, but I'm here now.
It devolved into cat pleasuring.
Yeah. So you big on molesting cats there, Vito?
Have you watched the YouTube videos?
I've watched.
Yeah, we did in the last episode.
Well, there you go. So how can I even be faulted for following a helpful guide?
No.
Okay, wait.
No, Vito, I've had cats, right? And I know what it's like to have them crying all night. It never once crossed my mind, you know what? I'm just going to wank off my cat. And even if I did know that, I'm still not going to wank off my cat. So
you're a fucking pussy. Because you don't have the balls.
No, you're fucking pussy. Apparently.
You don't have what it takes to get the job done. If an animal was dying, would you take the shotgun and put the bullet in its head? You know, put it out of its misery.
That's different, Vito. It's not.
No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't.
It's different.
You don't have what it takes.
I would not fuck the animal to death. I would put a shotgun bullet through its head.
This cat was in distress. It was suffering from horniness. And I assisted an animal in distress. I assisted a hurt animal.
Oh, jeez.
And I used medical professionalism, and I looked up the procedure, and there are procedures, and this is a recommended procedure for a cat in heat. And I let it gently back. Yes, it is, motherfucker. There's literal fucking guides on how to do it. It has been known.
I fucked ugly women out of sympathy, you know, to get them over the line because no one else will. But no, I draw the line at animals. No.
Because you're not a man of action. Because you're going to live your life worrying about what other people think. And here's the important thing, guys. I slept like a baby because I didn't have a cat screaming at me. Because I'm a man of action who does what needs to be done.
Have you got it fixed yet?
You guys said this was like 10 years ago. Yes, the cat is fixed. But
okay.
And I did it once. It was on me. I was lazy. I should have got the cat fixed earlier, but the cat had never been in heat before. And then it happened. I couldn't sleep because the cat was screaming 24/7. So I said, "What do you do for a cat in heat?" And I found a guide. And it says, I found multiple guides. They go, "Well, if it's really that bad, a cat can have an orgasm in like 2 seconds. Literally, just put a Q-tip up next to it. It'll back itself up onto the Q-tip. It'll start screaming because it's having the time of its fucking life, and then it's done. The cat does all the work. You're literally. I could have put the Q-tip. If I had put the Q-tip on like a stick and just let the cat back up onto it herself, am I equally abhorrent?
Well, you just created a.
Or is it because I'm
hang on.
holding the Q-tip?
If you fuck an ugly woman and you're just laying there and she's doing all the work, does that mean you technically didn't fuck an ugly woman?
I don't think if this is fucking, like, this is animal husbandry. Do you think the guy who jerks off champion racehorses thinks he's having sex with horses?
I
think he thinks he's doing a job.
That makes money, though. Like, that makes tons of money if you've got a champion horse.
Sleeping and getting my job done in the morning. This directly impacted my productivity.
Yeah,
I made more money by getting a great night's sleep and not having my slut of a daughter screaming all night. All right?
We're still talking about the cat, right? Please don't tell us that you do this to your daughter.
Well, all my cats are my daughters. And stuff.
Of course, you would refer to your cat as your daughter, you fucking weirdo. Like,
Yeah, and I told that slut what's up, and I said, "Listen, bitch, I know you want to get fucked. I know that's the only thing in your tiny little brain. Here's a Q-tip boyfriend. Have fun."
Technically, they want to get pregnant. They don't want to get fucked. They want to get pregnant. You're robbing them of that.
They don't know. They don't know what they want.
I mean, you did better than I don't know. Like what I did when I was a kid, when the cat was in heat, I just put it outside, and then I never saw Fluffy again. So, you know. So at least you keep the cat inside, but I don't know. I've never heard.
I guess the important thing is I don't regret it at all, and not even slightly.
Wait, okay, Vito. That leads me to this other question that I've had. Right, like. I've been a fan of yours for years, but there's this thing that you do, like you did just then, where you just say things that you just don't need to say, right?
No, I do.
Kind of like Liam Neeson did that time. It's like Liam, you didn't need to tell us that.
If a cat in heat was here right now, I'd do it again in a heartbeat. It was simple, clean. It solved my problems. The cat was the happiest cat I ever saw in my life. Who is negatively impacted by that situation? Now, granted, if I get a sick thrill out of it and I keep doing it when the cat doesn't want it, then you got a problem. But if it's a once in the cat's lifetime thing that it's like, I am in distress, I am miserable, all I want to do is run around and get fucked, and I go, well, why don't you try this? And the cat goes, oh my God, I feel a million times better. Thank you to my owner. Thank you for delivering onto me this mind-shattering orgasm. I don't know. Where's the harm? If a situation is bad, it needs to have harm, right? Where's the harm? Who was harmed in this situation?
I don't know about that. I don't know.
My ears.
You're opening a box there where when you make that when you draw that line, say, oh well, if there's no harm, then it's okay. I don't know, man. There's some things where there's no harm, but it's not okay.
In fairness to Vito, this is not some fucking witch doctor shit or some weird fucking backdoor deep web thing. They literally YouTube it, and there's a bunch of middle-aged women sticking fucking Q-tips up their fucking cat's vaginas.
If there was any chance of harming the cat, or it could go wrong, or the cat could get an infection, then I wouldn't have done it. But I looked it up, and it's like, no, this is safe. Some vets will recommend. You know, it's a very... And they say, you know, don't do it all the fucking time. Get your cat fixed, which I did as a responsible pet owner. I eventually was like, okay, I got to get this cat fixed, even though I was extremely poor at the time, but I found a clinic that did it for free. So, this was a one-time stopgap, whatever the fuck. And again, it's not even, I don't care that it's one time. Even if I had decided, you know what, this is what I'm going to do every time my cat's in heat, I still don't think it's, I don't know. Importantly, again, I don't care. Like, I could have a reputation in the community as a cat fucker, and I go, well, that's funny. It's funny that I'm a cat fucker. Like, that's the one weird thing, is that I'm like, I don't know what you guys, I don't know what people want from me. They go, you're disgusting. I'm like, yeah, you already think I'm disgusting, though. You think I'm disgusting for a million other things. So, like, what does this add to the equation?
Yeah. Are you satisfied that people stopped calling you a pedophile and now are calling you a cat fucker?
No, I want you to keep calling me a pedophile because that's also funny. Like, you always don't understand. I'm like, every day I wake up and I go, a bunch of people on the internet are super mad because they think I'm a cat fucking pedophile. That's fucking hilarious to me. Like... I don't know. Everybody's like, oh, you're going to ruin your online reputation. I'm like, but I hate all of you. So the idea that all of you hate me, I like some of you, Matt. I like you. But, the idea, it's like Kiwi Farms hates you. I'm like, oh, the worst, stupidest morons on the internet are fucking mad at me every day. Like, how is that not a badge of honor? Like, I'm happy about that.
I mean, fair enough, man. I mean, if you want to, you're definitely doing a good job at being hated.
They call everybody a fucking pedophile. They said James Gunn was a pedophile. That means I'm like James Gunn. I love James Gunn. That guy makes great movies. They said Dan Harmon's a pedophile. The guy who created Rick and Morty Community, one of my heroes. All my heroes are supposed internet pedophiles. So I'm happy to be one of them.
Have you ever thought about doing a masterclass on like how to not give a fuck if people think you're a pedophile?
I think you gotta be happy about it now. I think if people call you a pedophile, it's a badge of honor. Because look at all the great people right now that they are calling pedophiles. And they're wrong. That's the other thing, is like they're only saying it because they're mad, and probably because half of them are pedophiles. So I don't know. Like again, I consider myself in the ranks of these great men who have been falsely accused of pedophilia by the ignorant masses who can't understand a joke. You know, like they're still right now they're going at James Gunn so hard because he had a fucking party 20 years ago where everybody dressed up like priests and schoolgirls and whatever else. And I'm like, that's funny. That's great. I wish I was at that party. Like, that looks like a hilarious fucking time from the guy who fucking was making trauma movies. You think he didn't have a sick sense of humor? That's what drives me really nuts about all this. Is everybody goes, oh, I love twisted humor. I love, subversive, whatever the fuck shit. But this thing this guy did 10, 20 years ago, or this joke he made on Twitter or whatever, that fucking upsets me. Well, you don't get the subversive weird humor unless that guy gets to play around and fuck around and push the edge and occasionally go over the line. So have I gone over the line? Sure. But me going over the line has helped me define the line and refine my comedy and continue entertaining, thousands of people every week. So I don't care if you don't like the process that I have used to arrive at, being a hilarious individual. I just know that I've become a hilarious individual because of it. And so I'm not going to apologize for any of it.
Didn't the James Gunn party, didn't he actually invite a person that ended up becoming, was a pedophile? Or, was...
You live in Hollywood and you have a party, you're going to accidentally invite someone who ends up being a pedophile. I hate to tell you. It's gonna happen.
Yeah. Especially at a pedophile party,
Hey, man, every party in Hollywood's a pedophile party. That's the other thing you guys don't know. But
some of that James Gunn party complains that all the school kids are actually over the age of 18. They're like, "Oh man,
yeah."
And you're like, "Oh,
if
shit,
anything, he showed up to the pedophile party and went, "I've been sorely missed. This is bullshit. I could have went to the good pedophile party uptown."
Yeah.
I don't know if that guy was there, but man, you can't throw a rock without hitting a pedophile in Hollywood.
No, I agree with you with James Gunn. I was a fan of James Gunn at a very young age when I was a teenager, watching his trauma movies and all that stuff.
I saw Slither back in the day.
Yeah. I even read his book, The Toy Collector, which was like a transgressive fiction novel he wrote in the 90s or something. And in the book, no one ever talks about this because no one's read this book because it's so hard to find. In the book, there's two characters, and a girl and a guy. And the girl asks the guy, "Why don't you have any kids?" And the guy says, "Because I'm afraid I'd fuck them." That's literally a scene in the book. So it's just
I'm surprised he hasn't been canceled for that yet. You know?
Well, no one's found the
because
book
nobody
yet.
reads.
Yeah, nobody reads. Nobody's found the book yet. So that will probably come up one day. But yeah,
it's funny how you can have so much weird shit like that, and as long as it's in a book or like a podcast that nobody's going to listen to, you get away with it.
Yeah.
Speaking of podcasts, that was going to be a mean joke.
So you did. You're on The Biggest Problem with Dick. How did you find your way on that podcast?
So I first met Dick because I vaped Belle Delphine's bath. It was a joke,
Yeah.
but I did a bit where I vaped Belle Delphine's bathwater. His producer Riley, I don't know if you know that guy. He's an interesting guy. Invited me on. Dick at first was like, "Wait, is this real or not?" So I had to explain, "No, it's a bit. I'm sorry." But I don't know, we just kind of hit it off, and then the good thing is that he only lives like 30 minutes from me, which in Los Angeles is kind of a miracle. Everybody.
So that was how you met Dick.
Out. Yeah, I did an episode of his the Dick Show, and then I had been on a couple episodes of the Dick Show, and I would go to like his 4th of July parties and shit. We became like buddies, and then his normal co-host Sean was out of town, so he said, "Well, I want to do a couple episodes of the Dick Show, but let's do them like The Biggest Problem in the Universe," which was his old show with Maddox.
Mm-hmm.
So we did that, and I was the Maddox in that situation, and then I don't know, people just really liked it, and he was like, "I want to actually reboot the show." So we did that.
Was that before he was asking Boogie to do it? Remember he asked Boogie?
No, first he asked. He's
after.
been after Boogie for a while, so I think he's been flirting with trying to do it again for a while. He has Boogie. I think Destiny came up as somebody who would have been great, but obviously Destiny, I think, is just too busy.
Yeah.
I
think you're way better than Boogie. That's not me sucking your dick, but yeah.
I appreciate that. The reason he wanted to do it with Boogie was he had went on, Andy Signore was doing this thing called like Nerd Wars, and they argued over whether or not Baby Yoda was the stupidest thing in the world. Dick hates Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
And I guess that had been popular, so he was like, "Hey, why don't me," he was arguing with Boogie, so he's like, "Why don't we do a show?" But obviously Boogie is a hard man to motivate. Let's put it that way.
I had a question about because we can cut this like if this is like too personal involved with the podcast or whatever. But I remember Maddox and Dick, they both own the trademark to the show, right?
At one point they did. Go ahead.
Oh, so Max doesn't anymore.
My understanding is that Dick completely owns the trademark now.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
all right,
what's
that was going to be my
interesting
question.
Yeah, I think Maddox had tried to register for the trademark.
Without
and
Dick, yeah.
Dick had noticed, and he's like, "Hey, bullshit! You don't own the trademark. I'm contesting it." And I think Maddox just has no money, so it was either he was going to have to hire a lawyer he couldn't afford, or just let Dick, have it. And now I believe Dick owns the trademark.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, because I've been wondering if he'd been getting like residuals or something all this time.
Yeah, well, that's also my question is, because when Dick wanted to redo the show, I was like, well, shouldn't we like rename it? Because you have a co-host who's notorious for frivolous, litigious nonsense, who sued Dick for $10 million over calling him a cuckold. And Dick has said, no, it's going to be fine. And if he sues us, it'll be funny. And so there's still part of me that's like, God damn it, I really hope we don't get involved in some lawsuit or something.
No, that would be amazing content if he tried to sue you guys again. Well, tried to sue Dick again.
I don't. Honestly, though, I like the biggest thing is that I don't think he has a dollar to his name. I think he's on like rent.
Well, then
control
we'll start a
for the
Kickstarter and
COVID.
get him some money.
so he can do a lawsuit.
Yeah,
we'll
start
see
a
what's
Kickstarter.
up. But Dick owns the trademark, and also Dick owning the trademark. If he ever wants to kick me off and get another co-host, it's his right. I don't know shit,
Yeah.
but I don't want it. I don't want the legal responsibility.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
You got any more questions about the podcast, Mitch?
Oh no, I thought you were about to come in.
No.
I don't have any more about the podcast, no. But if you've got some, you go in.
I wanted to ask about Andy Signore. What did you see all the shit with Andy Signore where there was like a video of him like jerking off or whatever?
Yeah.
That he sent to a message to some moderator or something?
Yeah. I mean, this seems like a situation where, let's be clear, Andy. I don't know. All of us guys, we're all like, loser schlubs who probably grew up fucking nerds and girls didn't talk to us. And all of a sudden you're Andy Signore and you're fucking making videos about Johnny Depp and you have literally like thousands of bored housewives going, oh my God, you're a hero. I love you. Thank God. And, it seems like some of these girls were like, hey, can I send you, fucking nudes? And can I, send you sexy pictures? And you know what? I really can't be upset with Andy for being like, yeah, if you want to send me, naked pictures of yourself, sure. I'm a red-blooded man. And then I guess, some of them, I think he got like a little too. They're like, oh, I love you and I want to be with you. And, and in the end, they were just, I don't know if they were leading him on to try and humiliate him or whatever else. But the important thing is, one, it's not my business. He has his own demons or whatever, or I don't know what you want to call it, but that's his business to deal with. And I can't be like too morally upset with a guy for being like, hey, a bunch of really hot women were flirting with me and I flirted back.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, what a fucking monster. Like, I can't believe it. I think he's not happy with the situation. He's got like a, fiance and they're working it out and they're I think they have an understanding. But yeah, I don't think he said anything to anybody against their will. I don't think he, you know, a lot of people are trying to make it sound like, oh, he would just randomly, if you're one of his moderators, like send it. No. These are all women who came to him and there's like a long documented, like, text history of them being like, I love you. I want to be with you, blah, 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 blah. That being said, when I saw the video, I was like, Andy, next time you record yourself jerking off, can you not have a Popcorn Planet sticker on your fucking phone as you're holding That's the part I was the most mad about. It's like he's got his fucking channel logo on the phone he's using to film himself in the mirror. I'm like, you dumb motherfucker. I was so mad about that. But other than that, I don't care.
Did you tell him not to smile like that? Bro, that was a weird smile.
I didn't watch like more than 2 seconds, and all I saw was him holding up the Popcorn Planet phone in the mirror, and I was like, stop.
Yeah.
Like, why don't you spill
really
it
a
on your
smile,
fucking
was it? It was like a
set?
smirk.
He had a little smile.
Yeah. Like
anyway,
weird,
as far as I know, look, I think he's happy with his fiance. They've talked about it. They've worked it out. I don't know if he's doing counseling or what, but again, it's weird. I mean, a lot of influencers do a lot worse. And,
yeah.
but him getting approached by like 40, 50-year-old ladies who want to show him their tits, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I would do in that situation.
Do you get women throwing themselves at you now that you're a big YouTuber?
No, I get a bunch of fucking guys
Calling you a pedophile.
I'm always getting,
He gets a bunch of
dudes.
kids in his DMs.
No kids. There was one like
dick pics.
There was one femboy who was like, I'm 18 and like you're like a bear, and I'm like, don't send me, please don't. And he's like, why? I'm like, 'cause I don't want to deal with any of this. Like, don't send me pictures or videos. But yeah, occasionally you get people who, I don't know, I guess have a weird thing for fat guys.
Yeah.
I always tell them, hey, thank you, but you know what? Honestly, as far as I know, you're some fucking troll, so I'm not gonna deal with it. Yeah. If you're really a hot chick, tell you what, come out to LA, come to a show, and meet me in person, and then we can talk or whatever. But
hell yeah,
what's the weirdest DM you've got from like a viewer?
Again, there was this one guy. I made like an offhand joke about like I was like, there's all these femboy twinks out here, and none of them are sending me pictures. And again, this guy shows up, and he's like, hey, I just turned 18. Like, I want to be your fucking femboy slave. And I'm like, no, that was a joke. I don't actually want this. He's like, well, can I? He's like, well, can I at least show you what I look like? I'm like, yeah, sure. And then he sent me pictures wearing like cat ears or some shit. I'm like, well, I don't know what a femboy is supposed to look like, but as far as femboys go, I think you're doing pretty good for yourself. He's like, oh, thank you. But other than that, yeah, no.
He starts sending me pictures of him at a coffee shop with cat ears drinking with your picture on the cup. And
well, these kids now are nuts. I mean, I really am worried about like young kids are. We're going to have so many more of these fucking things because these 16-year-olds are all watching YouTube, right? They love YouTube. Yeah. They're obsessed with it. And they're also like when I was a kid, I was a horny kid and I looked at porn, but I would never have thought like to be like dressing up and taking like crazy fucking sexual pictures. Like honestly, like teenagers are doing this. They're getting into the culture. And I see it because like on Twitter, there's all these like people running around being sexual freaks and it's like 21 years old, 18 years old. And I'm like, you've been doing this for a while. Like you don't just suddenly turn 21 and decide, oh, I'm going to start an OnlyFans and whatever else. So, there's a lot of these kids running around and they're getting way too sexual and like messaging people.
Mm-hmm.
And we really got to like, it's the conversation we need to have is like, here's why you don't talk. It's complicated. I guess what I'm trying to say. Just the idea that like, if you're going to talk to anyone underage, you need to be like strictly professional.
Yeah.
I think with Justin Roiland, the problem everyone's saying Justin Roiland is like was trying to fuck those girls in his DM.
I think I personally think he was just drunk and just fucking going crazy in the DMs, and like I think he was doing that to everyone. You know what I mean? That's just the way he was talking to people.
I think Justin Roiland was just thought that like that's probably how he talks to his friends, his adult friends, right? He probably makes sexual fucked up jokes. He says, I'm gonna fuck you and I hope you get raped and whatever else. And he didn't understand, like, hey, that's fine with your friends, but, like, if anyone underage comes to you and is, like, wants to joke around in that way or is even making, like, sexual comments, you have to go, listen, I just don't want to talk to you about that sort of thing. It's inappropriate. It's not right. And again, I think these were jokes. Like, I read that, again, as him, like, shooting the shit with one of his friends, and he thought these, again, he seems like a weird dude who probably didn't have a lot of friends. He's probably the weird kid doodling, characters getting fucked and getting their heads ripped off in his notebook, and then all of a sudden you're in a situation where you're an internationally recognized artist and you have all these young people who, idolize you. And all of a sudden he's like, wow, this is cool. Like all these people want to talk to me. I'll just be the fun, wacky guy who's like, yeah, fuck you, jailbait, go get raped. Ha 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 ha. And doesn't realize like, hey man, like you can't do that with, a 16-year-old. It's just inappropriate. And also, why do you want to talk to 16? That's the other thing. We got to get through people's heads. Like, why do you want to talk to a 16-year-old? They got nothing to talk about. Like all that's going on in their life is no, they have no experiences. All they talk about is fucking Roblox and stupid bullshit. Like, yeah, just tell them, hey man, I'm glad you gotta be like, hey man, I'm glad you're a fan. Thanks so much. If you have any questions about animation or like normal topics, I'm happy to, help you out with that. But, don't treat him like an adult. And a lot of people want to treat him like an adult and it just looks bad.
Yeah, that's true. I think when it comes to Justin Roiland, like your innocent until proven guilty kind of guy, right? And you think it's kind of unfair what they're doing to him with him losing his job and stuff like that.
Well, I understand that, like, look, like Cosby, before Cosby was found guilty, if you tell me, listen, there's 50 women who have similar accounts of rape, I can go, you know what, I understand, if there was like a new Cosby show going on, I can understand canceling it because it's uncomfortable. The advertisers don't want to sponsor the show of the guy who, potentially raped 50 women, whatever else.
Yeah.
I just think what Justin Roiland is accused of, I don't even think is like that serious. It's a count of domestic abuse and false imprisonment. Now, I don't know exactly what happened, but it could be he got in an argument with his girlfriend. He might have slapped her or something. And then she's like, I want to leave. And he stands in front of the door and he goes, you're not leaving till we figure this out. Well, that's false imprisonment right there, you know? Now, could it be a million times worse? Could he have beat the shit out of her and locked her in a cage? Maybe, but I don't think that's what happened. I'd rather wait to see what comes out.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also not one of these guys who goes, look, if he's a serial abuser, if he was beating his girlfriend every week, yes, he's a monster. But if they got in an argument, he lost his temper and he lashed out in anger, he threw something at her or he slapped her or whatever else, it's not good. Clearly he needs, anger management counseling. He needs to come to terms with that. Maybe could take a season off to figure himself out. But a lot of people are talking, they're just going, he abused his wife or his girlfriend. I don't know what it was. He's an abuser. He needs to be banned from everything. He should never be allowed to have a show again. And I go, for what? For one moment that he might have lashed out in anger? I hate to say it. I've been in contentious relationships. She threw shit at me. I threw shit at her. It's not great. And thankfully, we eventually came to terms and we realized, this relationship is not working. Let's break up. But I'm still great friends with that person.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I'm a morally compromised individual because in a fit of anger, I might have tossed a foam football at her face, I'm not saying that's exactly what happened, but hey. So I don't know. The world's just, I think we lose sight of how complicated people are and we try to reduce it down to good and bad people. And we've decided, well, Justin Roiland's one of the bad people. And I always hate that kind of reductive reasoning. I go, that guy's done a lot of good. Even if you don't like his TV show, I think Justin Roiland has been hugely influential on the world of comedy and animation, and I think he's done a lot of good. And I'm not going to toss him out just because he's the cancel flavor of the month. We hate this guy now, and we're going to hate another guy next week. I hate that.
Well, it's like when I was growing up, right? It was always I was under the impression that celebrities did bad things, they did shitty things, they made mistakes. Sometimes they lost their job, but they still had work. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a full on like you got to go. You're out of this. You're out of Hollywood, baby. It's gone. The dream is over. It was more like, all right, well. Keep doing what you're doing, and if you, don't do anything bad for the next few years, it'll be okay. It'll go like fucking Chris Brown beat the shit out of Rihanna, and he cries.
Right.
Yeah, he cries singing "Man in the Mirror." Now everyone forgave him. That was in 2009.
Yeah, because he sold albums.
Yeah, that was like 4 months apart. He beat the shit out of
Well, that's what
her.
also drives me nuts. Yeah, the unfairness that there are celebrities who have done so much worse. That if Matthew Broderick killed a guy with his car. But it's Matthew Broderick and we love him, so who cares? So I don't know if he purposely.
I don't think he purposely did it, but
Same with like Caitlyn Jenner as well.
Caitlyn Jenner did do it on purpose, though. She's a murder lady.
Yeah, but she hasn't been canceled for it.
No,
she's
she
still
hasn't.
around.
Well,
Isn't she?
she's trans. Honestly, if Justin Roiland was transgender, he'd be fine. He'd get a pass. But yeah, I mean, that's the other thing is I see this all as temporary. Is I go, in 2 years, you guys are all going to change your mind. You're going to be like, yeah, it's okay. I overreacted and he can make cartoons again. I don't know. It's always this stupid cycle of outrage.
yeah.
And I'm seeing a lot of people accuse him of stuff that I frankly think is, again, they're calling him a pedophile. And I go, no, he was inappropriate in texts, and he shouldn't have been making sexual jokes around minors. But there is no evidence. They're saying he was sexting them and grooming them. And I'm like, there is no evidence that he was trying to fuck these girls. I think, again, they were just fans. And he was excited to be talking to his fans. And he was, again, talking to them in the same manner he would talk to his other friends.
Yeah. When you put these tweets out defending Justin Roiland, are you doing it because you truly 100% are behind it but believe in it? Or are you also being like, oh, this will piss somebody off? and you tweet it out? Is it a little bit of both?
It's genuinely me being like, I hate you people. I hate the way you're treating this man. Like, it is, there's no part of me. Everybody that's the weird thing is I get comments that go, oh, that's Vito. He's just trying to rile us up. And I go, no, you guys get riled up because you're dumb. Like, I'm not trying to rile you up. I want you to consider, like, hey, man, here's a guy who, again, I think has done great good. And you're trying to say, based on, as far as we know, one violent incident, got in a fight with a woman, which I know is the most incredible thing in the world. You can fight as many men as you want, but if you strike a woman, you're the greatest criminal that ever lived. And you're trying to say, you know, he's like an irredeemable monster. Look, I'm not going to say what he did was good. It's obviously bad. You're not supposed to hit people. Yeah. But it's also a behavior you can unlearn. And let's be real, we're fucking monkeys with a rage center in our brains. We've been beating the shit out of each other for millions of years. The fact that we aren't in the streets hitting each other with clubs is a miracle of society and science. So I don't know, man. Like, I just can't look at that guy. I go, that's okay, he's an animal. We're all animals. Like, he can figure it out. He can get better. There's never any talk about, like, you know, God, I hope he gets help. That's what I want to see, you know? I want to see those tweets. Like, I hope he figures this out. I hope he comes out the other side. It's awful what he did, but, you know, I believe in rehabilitation. No, it's just a million jokes of, ooh, I'm wife beating Pickle Rick, Morty, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay. Well, fuck it, man. Does nobody believe, you know, because that's been the biggest problem for me on Twitter, is that I'm a big pussy liberal who believes that people can change. Okay? So some of the pedophile stuff, I see people going like, if anyone is a pedophile, let's just cut their fucking head off. And I go, or we could, you know, try to get them into treatment. You know, again, somebody who hasn't offended yet and is wrestling with the idea that, oh my God, I don't know why, you know, I'm having these horrible thoughts. What if we got them counseling? What if we got them medication? There's intervention strategies. And for saying that, they go, oh, you're a fucking pedophile sympathizer. What the fuck's wrong with you? And I go, I'm not a pedophile sympathizer. I'm a human sympathizer. I want everybody to live their best fucking life and not commit crimes and bring joy to everyone around them. And anytime you talk about, well, the only way to make the world a better place is to kill somebody or lock them up or, you know, remove them from society. I don't know. I just have immense sympathy for my fellow human beings. And I go, that seems unfair to that individual. I would rather they find help. Yeah. Regardless of who it is. And honestly, my sympathy is my greatest weakness. Is that
fair enough.
I'll hear like stories. Like there was a story recently, or not recently, but it was like a racist guy, and he heard a bunch of black kids like playing their stereo, and he lost his mind, and he like killed one of them.
Oh Jesus!
And it's stupid to say, but I'm like, I really wish somebody had went to that guy like earlier on in his life and been like, listen, man, you have like an anger problem. Because his life's just over now. Yeah. You know, he made like a crazy decision. You know, and I think even he knew, like, oh my God, like I lost my fucking mind. Why would I shoot somebody for playing their stereo too loud? What the fuck was I thinking? You know, and most people go, well, fuck him. I hope he rots forever. And I go, it's a tragedy on all sides. Because I honestly can't even say like that guy, you know, is the worst guy in the world. I go, that's a guy who was raised wrong and had the wrong ideas and had an anger problem. Now he's just rotting away in prison and his life's over. And everybody, you know, I don't know. And that's maybe that's silly. Maybe I'm just supposed to go, good, fuck that racist. I'm glad he's dead, whatever. I don't know. It's just weird. That's the way my brain works.
The problem is, I think, like if you're in a one-on-one conversation with a normal conversation in person or in a voice chat, whatever, people instinctively act good faith when talking to you. So when you're presenting these points, they will treat you normally. But when you're on Twitter and you're trying to tweet out these points, people become automatically bad faith to you. They take you out of context. They say you saying we means they take that literally instead of you meaning the royal we. And you just get caught in this fucking, next thing you know, you have people pointing fingers at you, calling you a pedophile because they took your tweets and they spun it their way. And so the issue is like, it would be easier for you if you just talked about these points either on a podcast or on a stream, but on tweets it just never works out for you.
You're right. Twitter is a terrible place to have a conversation. But these people are also bad faith regardless, because like I went on a podcast with like Nina Infinity, Chrissy Mayer was there, Brittany Venti.
I was gonna bring that up.
Yeah, and I think honestly, I think I laid it out very clearly. I said, listen, I'm not a pedophile sympathizer. I am a believer in mental health treatment. Like I am someone who if you told me there are people on this earth who no matter what, they're irredeemably evil and there is no way to solve it and we have to kill them, that would depress me to the point where I'd be like, well, just kill me too. Because if there's no hope for our fellow man, that some of us are just broken forever and there's no way to fix it, I'm like, well, then I don't even want to be a part of this. Then what's the point of even being human? I believe that the one thing we should be doing is trying to help people who have these demons, who have these mental illness, and do everything we fucking can to snap them out of it or whatever else. And I hate the idea that it just doesn't jive with me. The idea that nope, just give up on them. Lock them away, shoot them in the head. I can't subscribe to that because it depresses me beyond belief.
Yeah.
And I expressed that on this podcast, and I think most of them, they're like, well, I don't like that that's how you think. I wish you were one of us and you just wanted to kill them all. But, I respect that you say that. But then I get off that podcast, and then for a year they go, yeah, he came on my podcast, and he said pedophiles are great. And I'm like, that's not the conversation we had. And that's not the conversation we had. So... So I don't know what these people, I don't know why they're bad faith. I don't know what it is that they can't have a rational discussion about some of this stuff. I don't know if they're just trying to win points and followers because it's very popular to, be one of these hardline, it's a very conservative viewpoint to just be hard on crime and be like, these people are animals and we need to put them in the ground.
Yeah.
People love to hear it. I don't know if they actually believe that or what, but if they do believe that, I don't know. It's just a horrible way to live for me. I can't imagine living that way and thinking some people need to go on the ground because they're broken based on their race or their mental damage or whatever else.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I think my opinion is just it's not my responsibility. But I always, like, if someone's not, if someone hasn't done an action and they need help, and they're struggling mentally, like I agree that I want that person to get the help they need. I think some people just don't see that. They think that you think there's a pill for it, like some sort of like pill that can change everything, and they don't see that as a rational thing. They kind of like project like, oh, you just think that you think that the help that they're given is going to automatically fix things, and it's not. And I don't want to risk that. I think that's what they're trying to see it from. They don't want to risk trying to help them when it might not work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, let's just cut off all our hands so that nobody ever steals anything. I mean, crimes are going to happen. What can you do? We can't get into this pre-crime thing, where we hook you up to the machine and go, oh, you're predisposed to stealing, so you're not allowed to go to Target anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, the important thing is what people don't understand is, even I think there's a lot of people out there who might have, let's put it this way. There's a lot of people who want to fuck dogs and cats and, guys like me. But, what do you call it? But there's a lot of people who just, they become furries or they read fucking erotic fiction or they fucking draw it and they never once fuck an actual dog. And you go, well, that's good. Hey, that means no dogs are being hurt. And these are people who understand, like, even as a human being, even if you have, like, let's put it this way. There are guys on this planet that if you put me in front of them with a loaded gun, I would be very tempted to blow their heads off. But I wouldn't do it because I have a moral code, Yeah. And you can have these abhorrent thoughts or whatever else, but you can still have the basic morality to understand I'm not going to harm an animal. I'm not going to harm a child. I'm not going to steal a thing, even if I have the impulse to do so. We're really talking about impulse control when we talk about any of these sexual criminals, is that they have impulses. It's like a craving. It's like, I really want McDonald's. Do you have the mental fortitude to stop yourself from driving to McDonald's right now? And there are, the most important treatments are intervention strategies, like for fat people. Okay, you want to go to McDonald's. What else could you do in that situation? Let's come up with some strategies. Yeah. And that's pretty much what. Yeah, sure, exactly. Get Kentucky Fried Chicken, much better. I'll fuck a different kid. No. Hold on.
A different colored one.
Yeah, I'll fuck a black kid. That's different. They won't notice he's missing. Whoa. This is getting way better.
At some point, then you just gotta. All right, let me just put this bullet in the chamber real quick. Here, look to the other way. Boom. Like at that point, it's just like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, at some point, you got to take them out. The point is that there is no magic, pill that, makes people perfect, but that there are therapists who can, get these guys. Be like, listen, if you're having these urges, just go home and, first of all, just go home and like jerk off, not to CP, jerk off to literally anything else. And you ever get that, where you're horny at a bar and you see an ugly chick and you're like, God, I gotta go rub one out before I have sex with this uggo. There are strategies to avoid offending, and it's the same for anything. If you're a kleptomaniac, there's ways to, strategies to get your mind off stealing and whatever else. I don't know. The point is that there are ways to handle this, but there's a certain contingent of people who go, and the best solution is a wood chipper. And I go, guys, I don't even want to joke about that because I don't think it's helpful. It doesn't. If you really care about kids, like, why don't we just talk about it seriously instead of making jokes about like all the people you're gonna kill?
Yeah.
If anything, it seems like you're making light of the situation, and we're making light here, but we're comedians, we're having fun. But there are people who seriously go, whose whole thing is like, I love, I want kids to be safe, and anybody who would harm the safety of a child is the most horrible person in the world. And if I saw a pedophile, I would have a shotgun machine with 1 million shotguns attached to it. And I go, well, now I don't think you actually care about kids because you're making a stupid joke about shotgun machine, So anyway.
Yeah, no,
it's complicated.
No, I get what you're saying. It's like if you add the realism of no one's going around killing pedophiles, right? No one's going around hunting them down. Maybe very rarely there are some cases, but no one.
I've never heard. I want to hear about it.
Yeah.
Just know that because everyone's joking about it. I'm like, I don't think any of you guys would ever kill anyone. I think you're all just grandstanding. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, realistically, there's ways that they can, I guess, be helped, and so if you're trying to explore those reasons to help them. I don't see why the finger gets pointed at you, right? But that's just kind of how it is. You've been on panels with the Chrissy Mayer panel you've mentioned. You went on a panel before where someone actually said they want to put a gun to your head and pull the trigger. So you go on these panels a lot.
Oh, did they? Wait, which panel was that?
I believe that was it wasn't a panel. It was the Medicare versus Ethan Ralph. After that, they brought everybody on.
Oh, yeah. Well, those guys are all psychopaths.
But you came on, and I think someone said they wanted to shoot you in the head. But
it was probably Frank Hassel.
Nah, maybe. But but my point is, you go on these panels a lot where people on the panel do not like you at all. Do you enjoy doing that, where you're like the number one enemy of the group, and you're defending yourself to like 8 people who hate you and think you're a pedophile and all this stuff?
I think these people are convinced they hate me. I don't think they actually know me.
Right.
I think, again, they know me from Twitter. They don't watch my content. They don't watch my podcasts. If you're trying to get an idea of my character based on 180 characters that I flop out between bites of my chicken sandwich, like, you have a very skewed perception of me.
Yeah.
One thing I find about the human language is we have no way to express tone. We've invented emojis, to be like, hey, I'm saying this with a smiley face, or hey, I'm saying this with an angry face. But even that I don't find useful. I think emojis always come off as sarcastic to me or disingenuous.
Yeah.
So I think part of the reason we've become such an angry culture, honestly, is that our primary form of communication has become text. And text is very harsh. It's very to the point. I find when I'm reading Twitter, it seems like everybody's mad all the time. Do you ever get that impression?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're always mad, and they're always trying to prove that they're not a bad person by finding the bad people and pointing them out.
But I don't think they actually, like, I get a lot of people and they go, well, you're very angry. And I go, no, I think that my tweets read as angry because, again, you can't really express tone. But a lot of the times, they're flippant, they're joking, they're sarcastic, they're lighthearted. I don't know. Maybe I just have a very angry way of tweeting.
I got in this argument with a person on like Facebook or something because they totally misinterpreted a reply I did. And I remember telling them, like, I think you're reading this in the wrong voice. Try like a Bill Burr or something like that when you read, not the voice you're reading it with, because I don't mean I'm not trying to come off that way. You know what I mean?
Exactly. No, I think communicating through electronic means has contributed to everyone really interpreting everyone as very angry, very cynical, whatever else. Yeah, I think that's just the way the written word works. It doesn't communicate the sing-song nature of actual human speech and the nuance. This conversation we're having, if we're having this across text, you might say like, oh my God, this guy's a madman, because you're not hearing the laughter and the jovial nature and whatever else.
Yeah.
I think these are people who have seen some of my tweets, a lot of them taken out of context by bad faith actors. So I get in that room and they go, oh, this Vito guy, I've heard about this guy. And I go, I don't think you really, I think honestly, I don't know. Anytime I've gotten in a lot of those rooms where everybody hates me, and then half the time, if they're really open to talking to me, they go, oh, I kind of like this guy.
Yeah.
I get that a lot in like real life where people go, wow, I thought you were an asshole. But when I actually talk to you in real life, you're kind of a fun, cool guy. And I go, yeah, don't judge people based on their Twitter. Twitter is, it's not a good way to get a understanding of a person.
It's really weird with the emoji thing. Is like the anger emoji is never used in an angry context. Like if you're arguing with like your woman or something, emojis just go out the window. There's no emojis when you're having a full on like text fight.
You're not going to take time to find the angry emoji when you're yelling at each other.
Just to let you know how angry I am. It's like, no, it's all caps. It's fucking message after message after message, and it's go kill yourself.
This is actually something I've thought about like deeply, is that I think emojis do need to be taken more seriously. Like if we're seriously going to keep communicating to each other solely through internet text, like we need to come up with a system that expresses tone far better, because
does that include court documents?
Yeah, sure.
Emojis in court documents.
You know what emoji I hate? I hate that emoji was like the thinking face with the hand on the chin.
Yeah, on the
chin.
Because
when someone says something fucking snarky and puts that face, and I'm like, oh, I hate that. I hate that so much.
Yeah, and you're angry because of a little like picture, and you don't even really know, like, well, maybe he really is thinking contemplatively. I don't know. I see like an again, I see all emojis, and I'm like, I think they're like sarcastic, or like I misinterpret. Like that's the other thing. There should be like a style guide that's like, if you use this emoji, it can only mean this, because they're just like way too easy to misinterpret. And I don't even know if it's the right way to do it. Like I've almost like flirted with the idea that we should be able to tag sentences. Like imagine if you saw sentences in different colors. So if a sentence was in red, you went, okay, this is him being serious. If a sentence was in, blue, you'd go, okay, he's being flippant, he's being sarcastic. Like, because what we have now, it's just we are not communicating effectively.
That would get hijacked though too by like satire pages. They'd use the different color to what they don't actually mean, just to fuck with people. It's a great idea. It would get hijacked very quickly.
It would be very hard to implement, but we're in a lot of trouble with internet communication. And I think it is contributing to people becoming a lot angrier, a lot more contentious over time.
Yeah. You've had a public feud with Chrissy Mayer. Like, do you think she's funny, or like what's your opinion on her? Really?
I've seen limited Chrissy Mayer content. I can't remember ever laughing. I don't know. Is she funny? I guess I would need to like listen to her stand up.
I used to watch her when she'd go on Legion of Skanks and stuff before she started this whole like I guess she's like an anti-feminist person now, but when she was like a normal comedian, she was pretty funny on there. She was pretty talented. I did notice that she kind of changed her online persona when she started going on streams with like Brittany Venti and all these girls. Not saying it's a bad thing, but I don't think she's a bad person. I don't know if she's great.
I think she's a little fake. I don't know if I can be upset with her for being fake. I mean, she used to legitimately, her like one of her primary stand-up like recurring shows was at Stonewall in San Francisco, the legendary LGBT venue. And she was hosting, drag queen comedy night and all this other stuff. She was very much, like it seemed very liberal, very like progressive and pro LGBT. And now I see her on her page, and all she's talking about is groomers, and we got to stop drag queens, and these guys are disgusting. And I go, well, what happened exactly? Like, do you? I wish they would speak on. I wish you would speak on this and go. I used to be this way, and now I'm this way, and here's why.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like she fell into a space which is a little more conservative.
Mhm.
Hanging out with guys from the Blaze and whatever else, and said, "Hey, there's a lot of money to be made here." And like a chameleon is kind of changing her spots or whatever else. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe she genuinely had a political change of mind. It can happen.
Yeah.
But I see her. Also, let's talk about fake gamer girls or whatever. She's going on Geeks and Gamers. She's talking about comic books and whatever else. I go, I don't think you give a shit about any of that stuff. I don't think you give a shit about G4. But I don't know. Whatever. Everyone on the internet does that. So can I really be upset?
Yeah. I do know. I think what happened, because she was like a normal, like you said, liberal type of comedian, pretty edgy at times, but nowhere did I see like an anti-feminist type of character or anything. Then I think she started doing shows on Kumia's network, and that's kind of when everything started to change. It was like I guess it was gradual, but it felt like a switch was flipped, and she was like, her online presence was totally different. So
Kumia, and being on Kumia is a big deal. And you know what? If you hang out with another, I mean, let's be real. I hang out with Dick all the time. Has he probably poisoned me into thinking the January 6th insurrection was the greatest thing that ever happened in America? I don't know.
Is Dick
trying to convince me?
Is Dick the same off camera as he is on?
I think Dick is a lot sweeter off camera, like and you can, but you see that on the show where he goes, "I'm the ultimate misogynist. I hate all women." Blah 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 blah. I'm like, I know, buddy, but
I try to get people into that show, and they're all straight away. They're all like, "Oh, he's a big misogynist." I'm like, no, I think he's joking. It's a joke.
He is so.
Even though he wrote that book, "Men Are Better Than Women," but it's a joke.
Yeah, no, it is like clearly satire. Like he does say some stuff like. I think he does, and I actually agree with him, though, where he's like, women have ruined a lot of aspects of my life. And I go, yes, there are some major problems. There's a lot of terrible women out there who have done terrible, horrible things. So, but he's not, I'd say he's a little more misogynist than the average person in that he's willing to talk about it. But, he doesn't, hate women and think they're all whores. Well, you know what? I bet he would say he does. So it's hard to know where the character ends and the man begins. But I will say he's a sweetheart. Like him and his girlfriend, they're a great couple, and we hang out. And he doesn't like slap her around. Maybe because she knows her place. Who knows?
Something I like about you and Dick is that you guys can see the good in really shitty people. Like for instance, Ethan Ralph. Like I think Ethan Ralph could tweet out something horrible about you or Dick, and it would just kind of bounce off your shoulders, and you just talk to Ethan Ralph and settle it. Like I'm sure that's happened to you before with him, probably, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, there's been the thing about Ethan Ralph that people don't understand is, Ethan lashes out, but at the end of the day, he doesn't want to be in these feuds with people. I don't think. I mean, he'll milk it for content.
Yeah,
but the most powerful words you can speak to Ethan Ralph is "I'm sorry," because if he hears "I'm sorry" on a dime, you can go from being his most hated enemy to his best friend. Any of these guys, it doesn't matter who it is. If Andy Worski right now, who's been feuding with Ralph for 2 years now, if Worski went to Ralph and said, "You know what? I'm sorry. Can we be friends?" Ralph would just accept it. Yeah. So. That's one and that's what happened with me is he went really off on me and I went, listen man, I didn't mean it that way and I'd like to be cool, and he went, all right, fine.
If Maddox ever did that to Dick, said, look, I'm sorry I sued you, whatever, do you think Dick would forgive him?
Here's the weird thing is I showed a Blake.
Do you think it's completely irreconcilable?
I think the lawsuit makes it I think once you sue a guy, let's be real, because the apology would go, hey, I feel really bad about what I did. My thing would be, okay, you gonna pay my lawyer bills? What can your apology do at that point? Dick had to shell out money for a lawyer. A lot of people had to shell out money for a lawyer. It's like you've kind of done a thing where an apology alone is not enough to undo what you did. And that's what drives me nuts. I like Maddox's content. I think we all do. I mean, you guys all read his page back in the day, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like him being a banana.
Back in the day. And I found him on YouTube in 2016, but had no idea about Biggest Problem, no idea about the shit that was blowing up around that time. But I saw all the dislikes on the video, and I was like, "What is going on here?" And I thought, you know what? He does have a shitty on-camera presence. Maybe that's what the dislikes.
Maybe that's.
And then 2 years later, I find out what happened. I'm like, "Oh, that's what happened."
Maddox is a really tragic tale, and the worst part is, I watch Matt so I never met Maddox. I didn't know anything about what was going on. Even when I did the Dick show, I was like, oh, I don't know what this show is. I have no idea what the biggest problem in the universe is. This is all stuff I discovered later. But I did know who Maddox was because I read his page growing up. And it's a tragedy because I look at Maddox and I go, I feel like I would be friends with Maddox. I feel like in a different universe, I could hang out with this guy. We like the same video games. We have a lot of the same kind of humor. Obviously, he's fucking nuts, but I kind of like a guy who's nuts. So I don't know. I'm in this weird situation where it's like it's kind of tragic that him and Dick had this falling out. Because I don't think Maddox. I think Maddox is talented. I think Maddox is funny, but he really did suing people and forcing them to put up all this money and go through the courts. It's really a horrible, awful thing to do. And there's really no undoing it. There's no way. I can't imagine any situation where him and Dick. I mean, Dick has said, though, that he would fund Maddox doing a podcast or something else. So who knows? I guess a good apology would be if there's a way to make money off of Maddox, Dick would do it. but otherwise, it's just like you can't unburn that bridge.
Yeah.
And it's sad because I don't think Maddox is a guy, and also because Maddox's career is destroyed. Again, I have too much sympathy for fucking people. As I go, Maddox is pretty funny. He put up a couple YouTube videos last year, and I was excited. I'm like, well, at least he's back on the train, making YouTube videos. And then I don't think he got as many views as he wanted. He stopped. And I go, I don't know. I want Maddox to have success, as weird as that is, and I should be loyal to Dick and say fuck Maddox, and I hope he dies in the ground. But I don't know. It's complicated.
Yeah. Going back to Ethan Ralph real quick, I was talking to Tommy about Ethan Ralph, and his whole thing was like, look, all these people hate him. He's done horrible things. He said horrible things, but you cannot and you can never deny the fact that he's fucking funny. Like he's funny.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like I see clips of him all the time, and I'm laughing out loud. I'm hollering laughing at how the shit he says sometimes.
I'm hollering.
Yeah.
Hollering. That is the I don't know how you would phrase it, but that's the ultimate problem with Ralph is no matter how much you hate him, you can't deny his showmanship. Yeah. I had tweeted out a link and it was him because Rekieta had just gotten exposed for going to some swingers retreat or something. I don't know what eventually came of that news. And I tweeted that out, and Mr. Girl responded to it. And right now, Ralph hates Mr. Girl, and he's calling him a pedophile all the time, saying he deserves to die. And Mr. Girl still goes, when I die, I want Ralph to report on my funeral. I go, I know, because it's going to be hilarious, because he's going to go, that fucking piece of shit, Mr. Girl, is finally dead. He's going to be ringing bells, and it's going to be a whole fucking... I think the tragedy of Ethan Ralph is that we don't live in the era of shock radio. I mean, if this was 20 years ago, Ethan Ralph would just have a radio show and it would be wildly popular. Him getting kicked off YouTube. I think the show became far more radical to compensate. I wish he was just, my thing with Ralph is I go, listen, man, I think you have the talent that you don't need to bring on every fucking Nazi and white supremacist, whatever else. I know it's good content, but you could, I think, get actual guests and be, just like a crazy shock jock. Maybe that's misplaced what I'm saying, but
no, well, I think you could get some crazy people on, some white trash, some dirt bags. Not just it doesn't have to all be white supremacists and Nazis and
no. He should be doing like Jerry Springer and be like, all right, today we have, a woman who thinks she's a dog. We're going to talk to her. Crazy shit like that, I think would be fun. Yeah. But the problem is he's been pushed off these mainstream platforms, and the only people you end up getting are, these crazy Nazi guys who want, a fucking platform. I think he has fucking Chaggett on to talk about, why it's okay for him as an autistic kid to commit statutory rape or whatever, and you go, well, expand on that, Chaggett. Why exactly? It's like, well, basically, we're mentally the same age. You're like, oh, okay. Some of that is like hilarious, like legendarily hilarious. Getting Chaggett to try and defend having sex with a 14-year-old or whatever the fuck he did.
Did
I'm
you
like,
ever see that?
Jesus Christ, what is wrong with this?
There's an IRL clip with Baked Alaska and Chaggett where Baked Alaska is like, "Hey Chaggett, go tell this person your situation," and Chaggett just walks up to this person and they're like, "Yeah, so I was 18, she was 15. I was mentally 15 though, so we had sex." And the woman's just looking at him like, and she's, and it's just like, dude, what are you doing?
See, Ralph's in a great place to have these like whack pack guys and these weirdos, and just talking to those guys is fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
But I do, like he used to have this guy Rand on all the time, and I was like, Ralph, this guy sucks. Like Rand is just like a legitimate white supremacist. He's like a low IQ dumb motherfucker who goes, "Oh, all black people have this IQ and they deserve to live in Africa." Blah blah blah. I'm like, this isn't funny. This is just obnoxious.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but Ralph, and I wish you would make up. That's one thing I wish you would make up with Worski. I don't even understand exactly why that fell apart. I don't know.
I think they're making money hating each other. I think that's the issue, right? Like Worski's making money hating Ralph. Ralph's making money hating Worski.
That's true. Maybe it's all a work. I just want.
Wasn't Worski false flagging people or something a few years ago? Wasn't that something to do with it?
Well, that's the other thing I got to say about the whole cozy TV, whatever. They got to stop false flagging people. I saw Stardust.
Oh no, sorry, I'm thinking of Matt.
Recently.
I'm thinking of someone else. Sorry, I disavow what I said. I was thinking of someone else. Sorry.
But like Stardust recently got like mass flagged, and I think Mr. Girl got mass flagged, and it's kind of turning into a thing. Like, I don't think I'm ever going back on Ralph's channel because who knows if like I say the wrong thing. It's not exactly my audience anyway, but the mass flagging is a problem. For sure.
Yeah, that's when shit kind of gets a little like, all right, guys, you ruin it for everybody. Like, let's all have these personalities on, Let's
no, it was
enjoy
fun. I don't know why they did that to Stardust. I'm like, you got great content. You got to hear Ralph calling her a slut and asking if she spreads her China open. Did you watch him on Stardust? I was like, what the fuck is this?
With his wife,
his wife right next to him.
Yeah.
You ever spread your pussy, bitch? I know you did. And I'm like, this is. I was over Dick's house and we were right about to do the podcast. He's like, "Oh, but I want to watch this." And I'm like, "Dick, we have to do our show. You can't watch Ralph yelling at Stardust, asking her if she opens her pussy."
It's so funny because cut to like 3 or 4 months before this, Stardust is interviewing Ralph, and he's just like so calm and so docile, being like, "Yeah, I shouldn't have said what I said back in those days. Yeah, I shouldn't have said back in those days. I sometimes act irrationally, And then like 4 months later, you ever spread your pussy back like that with the brown?"
Yeah, everybody always asks me, they're like, why is Dick friends with Ralph? And I go, you don't understand. Dick isn't friends with Ralph. He's Ralph's #1 fan. He thinks it's the funniest show in the world,
Yeah.
Like, he cannot stop watching everything Ralph does because he just laughs his ass off.
Yeah.
So, and I can't fault him for that.
There's a guy that kind of doesn't remind me of Ralph, but is kind of going in the same path, and that's Salvo Pancakes. You've had some issues with him in the past. We went on Fireball together on his show. What's your opinion now on Salvo?
Well, we had Salvo, come on the podcast real quick.
Yeah.
My whole thing is like these guys who have like weird, sexual shit they're into. I don't care as long as you don't like pretend otherwise,
Yeah.
Like I tell people all the time, I go, look, man, I'm a freak. I've done crazy fucking sexual shit, and I have a ton of fun, and I've had sex with transgender women, whatever else, and whatever. But then there's a lot of these guys. What was that guy? The man expert, whatever he was, the guy with the beard, Jack Murphy, right?
Yeah. The guy who had dildos in his ass. And shit.
The problem is when you're a hypocrite, okay? Because Jack Murphy goes, "I'm the ultimate man. I only have sex with beautiful women," and blah, 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 blah. And then it comes out he's having like threesomes with guys and putting dildos up his butt. And I go, well, I'm going to make fun of you because you're a hypocrite. But if you come out, if you're that guy, if you're Jack Murphy and you go, it's awesome to, be sexual and be in threesomes and who gives a shit and have fun and live your life. I go, yeah, hey, he's owning it. So Salvo, at first I was like, is this guy going to be a hypocrite? That's also the problem with Flamenco. If Flamenco came out and said, listen, man, I watch a lot of anime. I jerk off to anime porn. Like, obviously I've jerked off to this anime porn. Like, I have, and I'm into BDSM and I want a girl to spank my ass or whatever else. I'd go, okay, respect. But it's when you're a little weasel and you go, no, I don't know how that got in my search history. And I've never seen that. I don't even know. And Salvo seems to be going, yeah, I want women to drink my piss. And I go, well, I have to respect it because you're not trying to like hide it. He goes, yeah, it's funny. And then she's a whore for doing it. And I go, okay, man. Well, hey. God bless your heart. So that's the thing with the sexual thing. I don't care what you're into, assuming it's legal. If you're a furry or you want to pee on people, whatever else, as long as you're not like, being a sneaky little fucking trying to go, oh, that's so gross. I would never do that. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying you got to come out and tell everybody everything you ever did. But again, it's like Flamenco. Every time I see him go on these shows, he's always like, I know he does this thing like they were talking about like age play or whatever, and he goes, well, I wouldn't actually know, but I think what that is. And I go, no, you know.
No,
like, I know you know.
Yeah.
Don't go, oh, well, I'm not actually sure. I'm like, no, you know exactly what it is, and you've probably done it yourself. Just talk about it. Like, stop being a little fucking weasel.
Yeah. Flamenco has always been like that. It's just like, I know you're into weird shit, dude. I can tell by your voice you're into weird shit. And you have a weird
boy
mustache.
Soprano. You know that fucking comic that he like everyone keeps nailing him over because they keep pretending it's child porn? I read that like, I don't know, like 10 years ago. It sucks. It's a terrible fucking hentai.
Yeah, I actually talked to you about that. You brought you on a stage last year to basically describe. So in your opinion, that's not Shotokan or lolly or anything like that?
Shotokan or lolly is like, people are making a big deal because there's one like page where he goes, when my parents died, I was 6. And I go, okay, that doesn't mean he's 6 for the rest of the comic. He's talking about, like, and then for the rest of the comic, he's in college and having sex with college girls. And I go, it's not Shota if he appeared. That would be like, I can't think of a comparison. But basically, I don't know. I tried reading it again because I was like, is there really anything terrible in here? Because everyone's burying Flamenco with it. And it's just a bunch of like schoolgirls, taking out dildos and having sex with each other. Like, you can say personally that you're not into that sort of thing, and I get it. But it doesn't have kids in it,
Yeah. Well, the problem is no one wants to confirm it because everyone's like, I'm not reading it, you read it. I'm not reading it.
That's the other thing. And I went on Augie's show to fight about it. Yeah, and I was like, okay, well, I've read it. And then the guy kept going, well, I don't believe you. And I'm like, well, then what do you want? If you're not going to read it and you won't believe, I'm like, why don't you go on Fiverr and pay a guy in Brazil to write you a synopsis of it? And then you'll know whether or not kids are getting fucked in it. But again, I've read it. I originally read it like 10 years ago on like e-hentai. And I was like, this is like almost interesting, but not really. It's honestly boring hentai. It's just like people having, regular intercourse. Nobody pees on anybody. Yeah.
I think the issue with Flamenco really is
that he's a weasel.
Yeah, he's a weasel, and he actually survived that Shotokan thing. He survived all of that. It wasn't until someone, Salvo had Mike the Bike write a song about him that he just flipped out because it was calling him a pedophile. He cannot laugh at the shit. When you're called a pedophile, you know how to turn it into a joke and laugh at it.
What's that rapper guy? Jarbo the Hutt did like a whole song. Yeah, and I'm like, listen, man, I can't lie. You have bars. Like, what do you want me to say?
Yeah,
I don't know why you're wasting those bars on me. Like, legitimately, I think Jarbo the Hutt could be like a great rapper, but he just makes raps about Ethan Ralph and whatever else.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to roll with the punches. You can't really.
Yeah, Flamenco can't do that. He cannot do that. He cannot accept it. He cannot roll with the punches. He cannot laugh at it. It just stews with him and he doesn't understand it. He lacks the social awareness to even try to think, oh, I could turn this around. He can't do it, and it's bite him in the ass every time. Every time he's tried to come back, it turns into the same argument over and over and over again. It's
people know when you're lying. People don't want the denial and the half truths and I don't know how I made an account on eHentai and uploaded a comic book. I don't even how could that have happened? It's like, come on, man. Look, just like own it.
Yeah.
And if you own it, there's still going to be some haters who go, well, that's disgusting. I can't believe it. But most people will have to go, well, whatever. Hey, different strokes. You never killed nobody. He's into anime porn. I don't know about that whole. There was like some Steam group he was in, which is a little more shady. But even that, I go, hey, you know what? I don't know what the fuck was going on in there. I don't know how Steam groups work. So
yeah, I don't understand it at all. And
dude, I've had Steam since its inception. I still have no idea how to use it. There's so many tabs.
No,
like what the fuck is a badge and a trading card? And I don't want any of this. I just want to play fucking Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah. Did you enjoy the Fireball 3 competition?
Some of it. I forget which part. Some of the questions I was like identify these celebrities and shit. I'm like, I don't fucking know. I liked the spell. Honestly, the spelling was the best part though, because we learned that most YouTubers are fucking retarded.
Dude, yeah, we were like ruling with the spelling stuff. We were just kicking everyone's ass. Dude, the music thing was funny. The humming thing, because I sucked at it, and fucking we won because fucking Tipster didn't know any songs. And
Tipster, he literally kept giving him the name of songs. To be like, I don't know that song. I don't know that song. He couldn't even hum a song to do the bit.
Yeah, we literally won by fucking they handed it to us, and I couldn't believe it. I thought for sure they were going to eliminate us. That's why I came in hard with the whole this girl got followed by Tipster, 0 followers. Follows Tipster. I came in hard with that. But yeah, I was not expecting to get as far as we did. No offense, with the guy being called a pedophile.
I thought we were gonna win it all. that thing in the fucking bag,
bruh. You were really into it, man. You were giving me strategies on how to cheat and shit, and I was like, Vito, calm down, bro. Dude, calm the fuck down.
Well, I didn't know. I don't even know what was the prize. It was like half the super chats.
It was all of the super chats, I think, and
Salvo never paid anybody, right?
Yeah, no, yeah.
So who cares? I invested all that effort for no reason.
No reason, yeah. Like none of us gotten paid. It turned into a huge drama and everything, and
my favorite part was definitely just like YouTubers not being able to spell. I was like, oh man, because that made me feel smart. I was like, I knew all you motherfuckers are dumber than hell, but the fact it's like spell station. STO, and it's like no.
I think someone spelled butter pecan and said D or something. I can't remember, but yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, dude, it was like such a oh my god, I actually am smarter than all these people. What a great fucking feeling.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I was talking to Dick. I'm like, we should do if Salva doesn't bring back Fireball. Somebody's got to step in and fill the void and run a game show.
I think Dick would be a great host.
Dick would be a great host. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would get him. We got to get him like a nice announcer coat and one of those long microphones, like Price is Right.
Yeah. Any updates on Mama Max? Are you still suing him? What's going on with that?
It's one of these things where I have to weigh, do I want to pay a lawyer? You know. So. Yeah. I'm just hoping that Mama Max, I don't understand. I made a little joke at his expense once, and now twice he's come at me, calling me. Because here's the thing: is I'll roll with the punches if it's a joke, or if it's a comedian doing it. It's oh, Vito's a pedophile, fuck that guy. I go, hey, whatever. It's the internet. The problem is he's making these really serious exposing child predator videos.
Yeah. You're right. When the pedophile hunter starts calling you a pedophile, you're kind of all right, wait a second, wait.
I go, this is way you understand that's way different than people on the internet going, fuck Vito, he's a pedo, blah blah blah. And I go, fuck you, okay, we're fucking around, we're having fun. This is a guy seems to legitimately being accusing me of being a pedophile to his 700,000 subscribers, and I go, bro, I'm not a pedophile. I don't know if he actually thinks I am, but just because whatever. Again, because I've done streams saying that mental illness is a serious problem that needs to be treated or whatever. So I don't know. I've put it on hold for now. If he really it's this thing though. But I always have it in my back pocket. If something comes of this, if I ever get an email that's listen, we can't work with you. We can't sponsor you because somebody had us watch this Mama Max video. I don't know. Let's put it this way. My life's been a fucking mess. My best friend killed herself. My cat ran away. So I've kind of been dealing with all that rather than trying to sue this random YouTuber.
Did your cat run away because you tried to molest it?
Because I tried to molest it? No, it's because I wasn't molesting it enough. What happened to all the love?
Yeah.
I was like, "You're fixed now. You don't need it anymore." They're like, "I still need it." We'll see. Hopefully my cat comes back. But it's just, I'm like, you know what? I got too much shit going on. I might try suing him. I'm not suing him. I'm not trying to sue Mama Max because I don't know if I can. I don't know what's going to come of this. It's basically cease and desist. Like, bro, you can't just make videos like calling me a pedophile. You need to stop. You know. Yeah. And that way it's just on the record. So if he makes another video doing it, I go, okay, well now you're legitimately. Let's be real. You're when you do something like that, you can cause financial damages to someone's brand. Okay, I can't go out and say Matt Pitt murdered a woman in the summer of 1986, you know, because that could, if that catches on, I mean, it probably wouldn't, but let's say it catches on and it becomes real news and then people are talking about it, you're going to lose subscribers, you're going to lose money, you're going to lose brand deals, you're going to lose sponsors. It can have very real ramifications.
You might get a spot on the Dick Show, though.
You might get a spot on the Dick Show, which
wasn't
is a
there
big up for you.
Wasn't there a Bob Saget joke or something where someone said like Bob Saget killed somebody?
There was the roast of Bob Saget. I can't believe Bob Saget and Gilbert Gottfried are both dead now. Yeah. But Gilbert Gottfried went on stage and goes, "I just want to address the rumors that Bob Saget killed and raped a woman in 1990. I know for a fact that anyone claiming Bob Saget killed and raped a woman in the summer of 1990." And I was like, "Oh God, he's trying to get it on like Google search results, you know?" And he just kept saying it over and over to like put it in your head. You're like, "Wait, did Bob Saget kill and rape again? There is no way that my good friend Bob Saget killed and brutally raped a woman in the summer of 1990. It was one of the best bits I had ever seen on TV. I laughed so hard. I was watching Comedy Central. It was like live. I was dying, and I've never forgotten that bit.
Yeah.
You can't find it though, because I think all that shit. There's so many great jokes that have been like memory hold, because I think we started getting into the cancel culture era. This was like before cancel culture, we could make those jokes.
Yeah.
And I think now they're like, pull all that shit. Do not allow clips on. There's like old Howard Stern bits. There was one bit where it was Gilbert Gottfried and Artie Lang talking about the Beatles rewriting songs to be about Yoko Ono. And they were singing in the style of the Beatles, and they're just going, "I wanna fuck you chink tits. I wanna fuck you chink tits." And I was laughing. I'm like, and I keep trying to find that clip, and they're like, "Dude, you're never gonna find that clip again.
Yeah,
it does not exist at this point."
Bro, they delete Howard Stern clips on the daily. I search YouTube all the time for like Howard Stern clips from like the mid 2000s or late 90s. It's so hard to find stuff. There'll be a guy who uploads like 50 of them, and then the channel's like gone the next day. It's crazy.
Howard Stern did blackface at one point, and he like managed to somehow convince everyone that he hadn't. Bro. He went on like The View, and like who was it? Whoopi Goldberg was like, "Well, you did blackface back in the day," and Howard's like, "No, I didn't. What are you talking about? That's crazy. I would never." And then they like found the video. They're like, "Obviously you did blackface, Howard. Like we had." But like they have gotten really good at memory holding this shit where you go, "Well, maybe he didn't. Maybe I forgot about it."
Yeah. No, it's just, maybe I just assumed he did.
Maybe I just assumed that Bob Saget raped a woman and murdered in 19. Yeah, God, that was the best bit.
Bruh. I got a couple more questions. What's your opinion on the commentary community?
I mean, I guess I get it. Like, people are obsessed with YouTubers. They really are. Yeah. I don't know exactly what that is. I grew up in an era without YouTube. And honestly, like when I started doing YouTube, I didn't know anything about YouTubers. I remember sometimes somebody asking me in the chat, they're like, "Do you watch H3H3?" And I was like, "I do not know who he is." And they're like, "It's not he, it's H3H3." And I'm like, I literally have no idea who that is. Like, I didn't watch PewDiePie, I didn't watch any of this. But I guess this is a generation that grew up watching YouTubers, and they're kind of like, you catch up with them daily and you see them all the time. So, yeah, I could, it's the same as tabloid news. People are into it. But it is tabloid news as well. Like, you can't elevate it and be like, "Oh, it's the greatest thing in the world." It's like, yeah, I don't know. I guess the people are into it. Yeah. I think sometimes people are a little too obsessed with what YouTubers are doing. When it gets down to like, "Did you hear this 18-year-old YouTuber dated a 16-year-old?" And I'm like, why do any of you care about that? Like, that's not... Well, he's basically a pedophile. I'm like, they're in the same high school class. Like, no, that Call Me Carson shit was like the stupidest thing in the world. I'm still mad the way Keemstar reported on that.
Right.
Because Keemstar's like news headline was like YouTuber dating underage girl or something, and like neglects to mention that they're 2 years apart in age. Is that what it was?
Yeah, 1917 was the age.
1917, and that's what he said. Literally, he was like, "This YouTuber is sleeping with underage women." I'm like, "What the? They're like in high school together, you psychopath."
Yeah.
Yeah.
The weird thing as well is, I think in Australia that's legal. Like, pretty sure the age you consent is like 16. So,
In
like,
America,
I think in America
shit.
it's legal. There's Romeo and Juliet laws. Like, we don't tell high schoolers you're not allowed to date other high schoolers.
In a lot of states, you can have sex with a 16-year-old, and it's legal. It's not something you should do, but it's not going to get you arrested.
Well, yeah, people our age shouldn't, but 19, 17, who gives a fuck?
Oh, no. Yeah. That's perfectly fine. That's literally like...
Yeah, but people make it a big deal.
Yeah, well, a lot of this, some of this drama gets like out of hand, but for the most part, I check in on some of the commentary stuff.
Are there any like
times
small
I'm like,
YouTube channels that you enjoy watching?
Small YouTube
that no one's heard of?
channels.
Ones that no one would have heard of.
Yeah, let me see if I can find my subscriptions or whatever. I'm trying to think who shows up. There's some older ones and stuff. I've been watching, because I have like niche interests. There's this guy, Get the Greg Games, who just talks about buying used sealed video games. So that's probably not exciting for a lot of people. I follow like a lot of Magic the Gathering channels, a lot of like, nerdy like video game stuff. My buddy, the Geek Getaway, who's been talking a lot. Did you see the video about Tommy Tallarico?
No.
That one guy put up, the guy who made the oof sound for Roblox.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but like it's interesting because he has this. Somebody made this huge video about him. Who was it? And it was actually like a super popular video. H Bomber guy, H Bomber guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he has a video talking about Tommy Tallarico that now has 5 million views. That just exposes this guy is like supposedly like a huge video game icon, and like says he's worked on like hundreds of games when in reality he's only worked on like 20 or 30, and he's just like this huge scammer. So I've been following a lot of smaller YouTubers who have been covering the ongoing Tommy Tallarico drama. I find all that interesting. I don't know. If I think of anybody, I'll let you know. I wish I had prepared a list.
What advice do you have for the small YouTubers that are like, or people starting?
Develop a British accent. No.
Develop a British
Question.
accent.
Develop a... All right, there's a cheat code to YouTube. If you want to cheat, and you want to get ahead real quick, develop a foreign accent.
Does an Australian one count?
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Nice.
PewDiePie is popular in part. Like, yes, PewDiePie is funny and creative and whatever else. But let's be real. YouTube is an audio YouTube is basically radio. You're here to listen to people talk most of the time, right? Mostly it's listening to people talk and have a good time. And when you hear people who sound like you, it's not as exciting. If you're an American, you hear other Americans, you're like, yeah, whatever, all right, I've heard this. But when you hear like one of these sing-song British, Australian, Netherlands accents or whatever, all of a sudden you go, hey, that's kind of interesting to listen to. I've never heard a guy who talks like that. And a lot of these guys, I don't want to throw too much shade, but I don't think you're necessarily the best at what you do. I think you just got a fun way of talking. Like the other day, a Critical Drinker video came up, and I go, this guy is the dumbest motherfucker. He knows nothing about movies. He has no idea what he's talking about. But I think people listen to him because he goes, oh, I'm the Critical Drinker. Hey. And I'm like, yeah, all right. So I think YouTube's all about finding your voice. I'm lucky that I have not necessarily an accent, but I think I have a fun way of talking. I think there is a certain quality to it. I'm good with words. And that's ultimately, if you want to be a YouTuber, in the shower every day, sing a song and talk in a funny voice, and just try to find a way of talking that can keep people listening for an hour.
Yeah, that's some pretty good advice.
Yeah, you're also good at like finding those things that like no one else is doing that's like shareable, like vaping the bathwater when Belle Delphine was selling the bathwater, and going out the front of Netflix to counter protest because like you knew that there would be like that camera presence there, whatever.
Yeah.
The attention.
I have a list of ideas that I know would be viral, and some of them because I don't know what it is. I guess I don't know what it is in me that I go, yeah, that would probably be viral. That would probably be viral. That would be funny. I've been wanting to
do you
do
set
one
time
forever.
aside to think of that, or does it just come to you?
I think it's I don't know how to like put it into words, but I just go, okay, well, here's a thing that's popular. Here's what's going on. What would be a take on it that would be like creative and original? Kind of look, just finding a way to take what's popular and subvert it in a way. Like when I did the Pepsi thing, when everybody was mad at that one Pepsi ad, and I'm like, well, what if you did that in real life? And some guys are good at that. And then some guys are lazy, like Mr. Beast, and they go, oh man, what if Squid Game was real? And it's like, no, I mean, some of his stuff he's got a whole committee dreaming up those ideas, though. I don't know. I used to have a whole list of like crazy video ideas. The problem is just finding a way to execute on your ideas without going bankrupt,
Yeah.
Yeah, real guerrilla style.
You've talked about Mr. Girl quite a bit. I've had conversations with you about Mr. Girl. Everyone that brings you on has questioned Mr. Girl, so I'm not going to go too far into the whole thing, but I just wanted to ask, like, what's your opinion on Mr. Girl now, at this moment?
I have not consumed any Mr. Girl content in the last, 6 months.
Right.
I feel like Mr. Girl has evolved beyond... I've kind of just let him go his own way, Yeah. Where he's doing things now for a very particular audience. He's a lot more concerned with, what do you call it? He wants to do good, like the whole thing with taking on Dr. K. Like he really wants, ethical whatever stuff. And I respect all that. I don't know. It's hard to say. Like I really liked his experimental stuff earlier on, and now it seems like he's very focused on big, important whatever projects. I'm like, okay, I understand you think that's important. I don't find it as entertaining as the other stuff you did. So honestly, I haven't even been following him. I'm sad that he's had this falling out with Destiny. When he first showed up on Destiny's show, I was so excited because I'm like, Mr. Girl's content is extremely high quality. So high quality that I am ashamed of my own content when I watch his.
Mm-hmm.
He has incredible camera setup and lighting and everything, and he really puts work and effort into it. And he's a very interesting guy who has a lot of interesting ideas. So I was so excited when he got on Destiny. He finally got some of the attention I think he's been, long deserving. He gets so pigeonholed as, well, that's that guy who reviewed Cuties. He's the worst man. And I go, oh my God, there's so much more to this guy. Watch any of his other videos. Stop talking about Cuties. I know it's the only thing on anyone's mind, but he's made such interesting shit. So I'm very upset that he's had this falling out with Destiny. Obviously I've been friends with this guy forever, so I have to hope his heart's in the right place and that he really, he's doing what he did. For those of you who don't know, he's, accused Destiny of what, some sort of abuse or something.
Yeah. A lot of fucking crazy shit.
I mean, I've said the problem is me and Max are alike in the way that he's way, and you know how I'm talking about being a sympathetic individual. He's that times 10. Where I go, okay, I have sympathy for people, but if you harm a child, fuck you, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, no, even that guy deserves help. I've said, there's people in this world I want to kill. He goes, I would never kill anybody, not a single person. I go, what about Hitler? He's like, not even Hitler. So I think what happened is that, some women came to him and they said, listen, we noticed you had a falling out with Destiny. Here's what Destiny did to us. And Max, being a horribly empathetic individual, went, well, this is horrible. This is horrible, and it needs to be exposed, and it needs to be talked about. And Destiny's an influential guy who, thinks he's untouchable, and I want to be the one to challenge that. When he came to me, we were talking about this, even before he went public. I said, Max, don't fight these women's fight for them. If they wanted to fight this fight, they would have fought it years ago. Yeah. I kind of tried to tell him, this is, you don't have the responsibility to save these women or fix the world or expose Destiny or whatever else, but clearly he believes otherwise. He believes Destiny has done some horrible things, and he wants to talk about it. Which is, I'm sad it ended that way. I thought those guys, were a good. It was fun to watch them chat, and I thought they had an interesting friendship. I don't know. It's not great.
Yeah.
That being said, Mr. Girl needs to be unbanned from YouTube. It is absurd that he is banned from YouTube. I do not understand this platform.
I thought he had more of a comedic approach from like when you were defending him when he was coming on. I think like I always thought he was kind of based on like making dark and twisted things funny, fucking with people. But I kind of see now that he has more of a like I don't know like a not a messiah complex, but what's the word when you want to like help or you have like
he's the white savior.
Maybe like a savior complex where you're jumping in and you're like. You're fighting the Nazis. You're fighting Destiny. You're fighting all these people.
Yes.
Like I didn't see that from him before, and now he's like stuck in this, and I don't really agree with how he's going about it.
But I get here's the thing is I think Max is also a guy who probably is maybe naive about internet culture. I think I understand internet culture a little more, and I go, listen, man. Like, you can't win a lot of these battles. Some of these guys, there's just shitty people and there's shitty shit going on. And you kind of got to pick those battles. And he's a man of pure logic. And he goes, if Destiny did this to a woman, everyone should know about it. It should be discussed. And I go, but that's their story to tell. It's not your job to save everybody. And you can't save everybody. And I also don't know if these women are lying. That's the other thing is like some people are coming to him saying Destiny did this, this, and this. They might be lying. And he went about it in a way. I wish I'd been able to be like, listen, man, if you want to look into this, you got to do it like 100% on the DL. But the problem is, he immediately was like, okay, well, I'll look into it. And the mere fact that he's looking into it makes it look like, oh, you're on a vendetta against Destiny. That's the other thing. He's too close. As I'm like, you just had a falling out with Destiny. If you think there's a problem, you should find a third party and be like, here's what I heard and have them do it. It should not be you. But again, he wants to save people.
Yeah.
And I can't say he's a bad person for wanting to do it, but I can say he's possibly misguided.
Yeah.
In that way.
I think the funniest part was I think Nicholas Yorio was kind of trying to talk him out of it in the DMs. And when Mr. Girl went gung ho and went for it, he sent Mr. Girl a picture of Walter White in the car screaming. It's like a famous meme. Like no,
no, Max. Don't. Well, that's how I felt when Destiny was like, "Well, Mr. Girl's coming at me." I'm like, "Oh fuck."
Yeah. This is what because at the end of the day, for me, looking like an outsider perspective, who doesn't know a lot about Destiny, doesn't know a lot about Mr. Girl, I kind of see it as hypocritical because as so many people went after Mr. Girl, and Destiny was kind of like Destiny had him on his show. Destiny gave him good faith. Destiny gave him charitability. And just to like go forth with like, oh, well, you have these accusations, sir, and I'm coming for you. I'm just like, that's like, I don't know. I don't like if it's it's real.
I think if he was here, he would make the argument where he would say, well, what are the accusations against me? Like with Mr. Girl, everything's public, and frankly, there are no accusations that he's ever done anything or anything that he's supposedly done he's talked about.
Yeah.
So he would say, listen, I don't have accusations that or everything about me is transparent. And then women again are coming to me and they're saying Destiny did this, this, and this. And I'll tell you some of the stuff he said. I go, well, if that's true, that is fucked beyond belief. But I don't know if it's true. I don't know some of the allegations. I go, well, I don't know if I can believe these people. It's a great story they're telling.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know. I wish he had just not picked this. He's too. He gets in his head that like I can save the world, and I'm like I want to be like, hey man, just go save a different world. Who cares what Destiny's doing?
Very very good point. Last question I have, and this is mainly because I just want to put her name in the tags. Have you heard about this Eliza Blue stuff?
Yes. I watched the music video.
Yeah, so
like part of it.
I don't know much about it, but she's like saying she was sexually trafficked, and then people are finding evidence that proves that wrong, and that she was actually on a music video, and then Brittany Venti and Quartering tweet out the photo of the video, and their Twitter accounts get locked. What's your opinion on all of this?
Well, she's obviously abusing the report system, but unfortunately Twitter's moderation is so bad that like people are trying to say, oh, Elon Musk is protecting her. I'm like, no, some guy in India just literally read a form that says, hey, they're using my picture against my will, and then clicked a button. they should be reinstated. Like, obviously, it's the Streisand effect. I'm like, what are you, the dumbest bitch in the world? Nobody would have heard of any of this if you just not issued these false DMCA strikes or whatever. I don't know what it is. False.
Right.
Using
I think she's gotten the
likeness.
YouTube video and the world video on WorldStar taken down, I believe. So
Yeah, well, I think WorldStar, she requested it, so I think she like actually emailed them and she said, "Hey, can you take this down?" Which is fine if a private company wants to have a discussion with a figure and she makes a request and they go, "Yeah, okay, we'll take it down."
yeah,
That's fine. If she got it struck, but I don't think that's what happened. I think they removed it of their own volition.
yeah,
But again, it's like it's a Jack Murphy scenario. It's why don't you just be like, we don't like duplicitous people. We don't like sneaky people. Like, just tell us what happened. And all you have to say, honestly, all she has to say is go, listen, I was sexually supposedly if she lied about the sexual trafficking, that's horrible. Some people are accusing that. I don't know what's what. But if she had come out and said, listen, I was sexually trafficked. Afterwards, I was all messed up and I was confused and I didn't understand my sexuality. I said, maybe I am just a fucking whore and I should dress up in skimpy music videos. And, I went and did this thing and now I fully regret it. And it was whatever. I would have been like, okay, that's fine if you regret the music video. But trying to memory hole it, you're like, well, that's not going to work. That just means we're all going to fucking see it. So I don't know what's going on. Again, there are some people saying that I saw one person even claiming that she was the one sexually trafficking other women. So I'm like, well, this is just convoluted as fuck. I guess I'm waiting for it to play out.
yeah. It's never like it never plays out very well on Twitter. It always gets very convoluted, and you kind of just have to wait for the ending piece. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. But again, why does she even want all this undue attention? If I was her, who cares that you're in a music? She honestly didn't even have to address it. It could have just been this thing where people go, well, isn't it weird that she's in this music video? And she could have just ignored them. Sometimes one of the best things you can do is just ignore the controversy. I don't know.
Yeah. Mitch, you got any questions?
Just, are you going to take Biggest Problem on tour? And if so, can you please come to Australia? Because I guarantee you will sell at least one ticket.
Yeah, well, one ticket ain't exactly going to pay for the flight. We did do one live show, and I think we had like 80 to 100 people show up. We're obviously Dick Cross WATP has just announced the tickets, and that will be in Philadelphia. I will be there. I think Dick's even going to be nice and pay for my flight. Philadelphia on 4/22. How do I get tickets, Dick? Oh, here we go. Go to thedickshow.com. You should be able to find tickets to the Who Are These Podcasts and Dick Show crossover live event. Honestly, I think this is going to be a huge, I think we're going to have a ton of people there. This is going to be one of the biggest like comedy nights of the year.
WAPT is like that boogeyman of podcasts. Like, I get terrified that he'll find some shit that I've done and just shit the fuck out.
but honestly, like, I told a buddy, I'm like, hey, we're going to do this podcast that you're loosely affiliated with. And he was like, oh, don't do that. You can't tear. Oh, and the guy who hosts the show, he's so nice. And I'm like, dude, you rip into the show for like an hour and then it's over. It's like, nothing comes of it. It's not we just made fun of him for being huge fucking nerds. It was like an action figure podcast. WATP Dick Show crossover live event. We do want to do more live Biggest Problem events. We may have found a venue in LA, obviously not Australia. And then hopefully we'll take it on. Hopefully we'll do something. I'd love to go on tour, but Dick's like an old man. He doesn't want to go on tour. If anything, Dick's the one you have to convince.
Boo.
Because I told Dick, I'm like, hey, we could let's rent an RV and we could do like a summer tour. We could do like 10 dates across the country. He's like, I'm not getting an RV with you. And I'm like, all right, never mind.
Probably afraid he's gonna...
Oh, yeah, sure. But he'll get an RV and he'll go to fucking, what is it, Burning Man or whatever every single year and take acid for 3 days.
Yeah.
He's probably afraid he's going to be riding around and fall and like break his other leg.
Yeah, exactly. No, he's a fragile old man with dementia. And he's gonna figure out what we're doing. Yeah, I know he already forgets to set the fucking podcast live when we get the biggest guest we've ever had. You dumb motherfucker.
Wait, which guest was that?
Adam Sessler. He didn't set the fucking. We were talking to him for half an hour before he set the show, and then he goes, "Oh, we haven't been live this whole time." And I'm like, "I'm gonna kill you."
How did y'all get Adam Sessler? Like, how did that happen?
That happened because I was making YouTube videos about G4, and this guy came to me and he goes, "Listen, I work at G4. I have the inside track. Or I know a guy who works at G4, or whatever." And he goes, "Adam Sessler's getting fired on Friday." Everybody, and he gave me all this information. I'm like, "Shit, this is good." So I made a video and I'm like, "Adam Sessler's getting fired." And then Adam Sessler tweets out, he's like, "Hey, who's this asshole? And why does he know I'm getting fired? Because I didn't know I was getting fired." And I'm like, "Oh shit!" I reported on Adam getting fired before he knew he was getting fired.
Yeah.
So then I DM'd him and I went, "Listen, man, I'll be upfront with you. Like, this is the information the guy gave me." And he's like, "Well, he was like concerned because I had some names and like some of it was right. He ended up not getting fired that week." But he was like, "Well, shit, I hope I'm not getting fired. Thanks for giving me that information." And from there, we kind of became like, Twitter acquaintances or whatever. And I was like, "Well, hey, once all this G4 shit's over, if the whole thing goes kablooey, feel free to come on our podcast and talk about it." So we had kind of a standing arrangement where he's like, "You know what? Yeah, fuck it. If it goes under, I'll come on and we'll shoot the shit."
Yeah.
So
he's a pretty woke guy, right? He didn't have any hesitation going on a show with Dick Masterson, and
yeah, well, I think part of what helped was I don't think he knew who Dick Masterson was.
Right, that definitely helped. That probably helped a lot.
I was gonna say that was probably the case.
Oh, bro, as you're watching the show, Dick keeps saying shit, and he's like, "Well, women are responsible for most of the evil in the world." And I'm like, "Dick, shut up." He's one of these like left-wing guys. He's gonna run away if he keep. Somehow we end up talking about the insurrection. I'm like, "Don't talk about the insurrection, Adam Sessler. He's gonna leave." But he was a great sport. He was honestly a great guest. I wish his microphone wasn't a complete piece of dog shit, but other than that, he was great. And I hope we can get him back on because honestly, he was people liked him. I think again, Adam Sessler is a perfect example of people go, "This Adam Sessler guy is an asshole. He's a piece of shit," because he's tweeting all the time, right? And he's saying, "I fucking hate gamers," blah, blah, blah. And he comes on the show and he's doing it, and it's a bit. He's going, "Yeah, fuck gamers, man. Fucking gamers. What a bunch." And it's like funny. And you're like, "Oh," he's like, it's like a bit. He's like doing a joke. I get it. And I think people, when you actually hear people, you get a better impression of them.
Yeah.
Don't judge people based on Twitter.
Yep. Yeah. Fair enough.
To this day, I still think Savo's doing a bit.
No, he's not. No, he is not. No.
Mitch, anything else?
No, I think that's that. I mean, I could go on for hours more, but I think we should probably wrap it up.
Yeah, I think it's time to wrap
I'll
it
have
up.
to come back on another time, guys. But don't forget to sign up at superkiller.org for my upcoming comic book, which is what I've been working on all this week. And I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that. I think that's one of the questions I got wrong at Fireball was...
oh, yeah. What kind of comic is it? You told me, you're like, "Oh, it's like
I threw that one. But
you were trying to throw Fireball. I'm like, "Bitch, there's money to be made here." You're like, "Yeah, but I want to go to bed." I'm like, "No, you fucking cocksucker."
When the fuck do you sleep, Matt? Is that the one time you slept?
Bro, like that shit was stressful, right? Man, my energy was low.
I was trying to make some money, and you're like, "Oh, let's just throw this round." I'm like, "No."
Let's be real, dude. I didn't think we were gonna get the money anyways. And look, they didn't get the money, so
no one got the money.
Vito, thanks so much for coming on. This is a very good interview. I really enjoyed it. Even though you were late an hour, but
sorry.
Hey, Vito's late, but when he shows up, and he comes.
I show up in spades, guys. Don't forget to spay and neuter your pets. Then you never got to worry about a fucking Q-tip and the whole internet ripping on you for it. Just get them spayed as soon as you can.
Yeah,
it'll make your life a lot easier.
All right. Thanks so much for listening to our recording. Make sure to like and hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, leave a comment, all that good stuff. We're on our way to 1,000 subscribers. We're almost there. So yeah, keep on watching us and all that good stuff. And make sure to check out Vito's channel. What's your YouTube channel, Vito?
YouTube.com/Vito and YouTube.com/Vito2. That's TWO.
Yeah. Okay. So there you go. Check out his YouTube, where you can watch him defend pedophiles. All right, you have a good one, guys.
No.
I am fully erect. My penis is hard.